webinar. All right. So today we are talking about our end of year recap. What's in store for 2024? We're going to break down some of our top 5 things that we're looking forward to most in the next calendar year. I am Jackson Root, Content Marketing Manager at DTEN. With me is Scott Krickerberg, our Head of Strategic Alliances at DTEN. And also Mr. Adrian Boyd has joined us from our Sales Solution Engineering team. So just an absolute wealth of knowledge there. So if you guys have any questions about DTEN stuff, drop them in the Q&A. We've got some of our greatest minds here on the call with us this morning. So definitely, if you have questions, use Q&A. That's for you. Right, that's an excellent resource for you to use just to engage with us during the webinar. And of course, we love the engagement. While we were waiting, I threw in a question to you guys. What are you looking forward to most in 2024? Somebody mentioned that they would look forward to nobody reporting that they got COVID again. Absolutely. I would love to say goodbye to that whole disease entirely. I myself am feeling a little bit under the weather today, as you can probably hear in my voice. So I apologize if I stumble a little bit this morning. We'll get through it. We'll get through it together. So let's take a look at our agenda this morning. 2023, we're going to take a look at the end of the year recap. We're going to walk through some of the new stuff that came out of DTEN for Zoom Rooms and Microsoft Teams. We're just going to do kind of a brief run through of some of our greatest hits of the year. We're going to take a look at the top 5 technology trends to look out for in 2024. So we're talking about things from Zoom Rooms. We're talking about things from Microsoft Teams, new ways to work, new technologies that might change the way you work for the better, hopefully. And then we're going to take a look at something new coming from DTEN in 2024. All right, so we have a very exciting new piece of technology that's coming. So keep an eye out for that. As I mentioned before, please use Q&A. We're going to be running through a lot of stuff very quickly. We have a lot to cover this morning. So if we run through something too quick, if you have questions, please drop your question in Q&A. We love seeing engagement there. It really helps us to kind of point the webinar in the right direction and allows for kind of a more open dialogue with you. Right, this is a live webinar, so definitely engage with us. We want to hear from you. So with that, let's jump in. We're going to take a little bit of a retrospective at 2023. A lot of stuff that we were coming out with, a lot of stuff we saw from our technology partners at Zoom, at Microsoft Teams. A lot of it was pushing this idea of collaboration equity. And this is something that we talked about, I think, almost in every webinar this year. Something we talked about certainly at every trade show, almost every piece of customer-facing collateral from DTEN, that we want to push this idea of building better collaboration equity, fostering that culture of inclusion and fairness, where every team member has equal ability to participate and contribute no matter where they are, whether they're at home, whether they're in the office, whether in a large boardroom, a focus room, maybe even in an office phone booth. Everybody has that equal ability to participate and contribute. And I want to say that 2023 really was the year of collaboration equity. I think we saw new technologies from both Zoom Rooms and Microsoft Teams that really make it much easier to engage and collaborate with others no matter where they are on the hybrid teams. And at DTEN, a lot of our technologies really worked to help make that whole workflow seamless, to really be able to directly walk up to a piece of technology, engage directly with it. So easy, so intuitive to use. And so we're going to just take a look at our portfolio of solutions now at the end of 2023. Scott, I've been talking for a few minutes here. Do you want to kind of just give us sort of our brief, bird's eye view of what are we looking at for Microsoft Teams and Zoom Rooms now at the end of the year?
Yeah, definitely. I think when we wrapped up last year, our talk track was all about return to office, hybrid work, right? Supporting that journey from work from home, returning to the office, and developing products that really solidified the portfolio to execute on all those use cases. And we've been talking about spaces, and it's not just about the product anymore. It's about the space that you can create. It's about how you deploy these new technologies to safely return, to book different stations. And we've done a lot to the portfolio, as you can see, to expand that opportunity for our customers, not just in the different devices they can use to deploy these use cases, but the different software we support, right, and the different platforms. So it was really a big year of expansion for DTEN, and being able to cover everything from that work from home with our DTEN Me Pro, all the way up to a large size meeting room in the office with the dual D7X75. So I think as we go through here, we'll touch more on View Pro, on the dual, and we'll kind of get to explore, but one by one, things that we've added to the portfolio to help support that deployment. So first off was the release of our third generation all-in-one device. So this was the first flagship device for Zoom Rooms for Touch. We've expanded and built on that core product over the last 5 years and released our first multi-platform solution, the D7X. And that X is there for flexibility. That's really what we're trying to bring our customers, a single device that you can deploy out of the box, go straight into a meeting environment with little setup, little hassle, a couple cables to plug in, and we can bring that multi-platform experience on Zoom or Teams. We also have a BYOD environment, so you can drive that with a single USB-C cable. And it's really brought this flexibility to our customers where they can, potentially pivot through platforms or drive an experience with their own personal device in a room. So it's really expanded, all the opportunities that our customers have to deploy all-in-one technology and add that collaboration equity to their tech stack.
So cool. Here's kind of a more detailed slide of the D7X. So
right. So
we just
everything you need, right? Best in class components, right? That normally you would have to buy separately, build out these different room kits yourself, have multiple manufacturers and warranties and pain points throughout the process. So what we're really doing with our flagship, right, Jackson, is just baking best in class hardware and software features all into a single device to really enhance that tech stack and the room experience.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to shout out really quickly on this slide is that the D7X just like 2 days ago was awarded the Good Design Award. So you can see that orange and black award there under award-winning all-in-one design. That's huge. That's a huge accolade for this product. So I don't know if you guys know much about the Chicago Athenaeum Good Design Award, but it was originally founded by Charles Eames, which I know we all love the Eames. Probably most famously known for some of his chair designs that hopefully a few of you are sitting in right now. But that Good Design Award has also been picked up by the Me Pro. So this is just a huge accolade for this product. And it really speaks to just so much design and thought that has gone into what is, as Scott mentioned, now our third generation all-in-one touch device for Zoom Rooms and now Microsoft Teams.
Absolutely. So not only do you get the best in class components, right? The 4K camera system, the multiple digital microphone array, right? A highly responsive touchscreen, the speakers, the software, everything's built into this device for a best in class native experience in the room. But on top of that, right, it is the actual design of the product and how thin our devices are and how clean the bezel, the modular AV bar, right? So not only are we stacking up awards in the performance of the device, but also in the design. So it is a big milestone to have the D7X rewarded with an honor like that.
D7X also was our first product to support Microsoft Teams rooms. So, one thing that's really nice about the D7X is you drop that in a room, and then at deployment is when you can decide which meeting platform that device will be running.
Absolutely. So dual boot up in that native environment. So you're not living in a client, you're living natively in that room with the actual Zoom Rooms application or a Microsoft Teams Rooms application. So just part of that flexibility aspect of letting the customer choose their platform on site right at that time and being able to potentially switch that down the road.
So speaking of D7X, the next thing we're going to talk about is certainly my favorite new product to come out this year, and that's the View Pro camera system. We're going to talk a little bit more about this too when we start talking about 2024 new technology trends, because I think View Pro, in a lot of ways, was kind of ahead of its time, right? This idea of adding more cameras to your system in the room, if it's an all-in-one, right? With D7X and the View Pro system, you now have 5 cameras that can be activated in that room.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, at this point in time, with the features that the platforms can provide, the AI that DTEN is building, right, I think we've come to terms with the fact that one camera is not going to cut it in most of these rooms anymore. So, when you use a single camera, you have things like distortion and EPTZ at certain depth. Being able to crop and frame people out of that single image does not give you equal meeting equity across the quality of the video, right? Especially for remote workers. So what the View Pro is going to allow you to do is deploy multiple cameras with different field of views. Some are long throw, some are short throw. So we're providing maximum coverage for the space and using the right camera to pick up the right person in the room and bring them in to either something like Smart Gallery, Intelligent Director, IntelliFrame, and really give that equal video presence and quality across the entire gallery.
Yeah, you brought up IntelliFrame. We're going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later on. View Pro today is supported on D7X Windows running Zoom rooms. So if that's the system you're using, you can go ahead and slap these right on top of your D7X and get going. But let's talk a little bit about the coverage of View Pro. I know I've been using this slide for a while. I need to swap it out with something new, but it's such a cool slide. In this large meeting room, you can see all these desks, and there's a number of folks that are sitting in the room, and you can see them that are all split up by Zoom Room Smart Gallery. And you can see Andrew way at the back here in the typical room view. If you had the single camera, as Scott mentioned, like we're kind of at the point now where one camera in a room is really sort of an antiquated way to set up a meeting room. And here's Andrew way up here, just perfectly framed. I'm not sure exactly which camera is catching him, but he's in crisp resolution. It's amazing. And I love that the guy from the Zoom tours standing outside the room, you can barely see his foot here, also is on camera. And we were talking about this, I think last month, somebody mentioned like, well, what if you don't want to have him in the camera? You can definitely tailor your image using this, but just to really demonstrate the coverage of this system, I think this image does it so well.
And the software is there with tools to take away, right? That's the thing is you can always take away, you can remove, you can set boundaries, you can do all those sorts of things. The most difficult part is capturing everything at a high quality upfront, right? And that's what the View Pro is doing. It's giving you the highest quality representation of the room on video. And then what you do to that afterwards, as far as using D10 AI or Zoom Room boundaries, or there's all sorts of software features that can help you remove. But with a single camera, you're not going to start with the quality that you see here on the screen, which is people to the left, to the right, 30, 40 feet back into a room, right? Our cameras are all capturing those people equally. And then after that, you can decide how to process it and remove the things that you don't want to see.
So the next system that we came out with this year, which also picked up a bunch of awards, certainly a lot of recognition for its innovative design, was the D7X Dual 75. And a lot of the things that these two systems, I'm talking about View Pro on the D7X and the D7X Dual 75, which includes View Pro, do so well, I think are really going to be seen next year. That we're going to talk about that in a minute here. But one thing that is really difficult to ignore about the D7X Dual 75 is the fact that it has that center mount camera right there in the middle, which is so innovative. Really interesting that the side cameras also are mounted at eye level. The camera in the middle there is designed to really push forward this idea of eye-to-eye, face-to-face meeting experiences for folks that are seated in the room and participants that are at home. Like when I'm sitting right now, I have my laptop camera open and it's hitting me kind of right in the middle of my forehead. So it's kind of a perfect framing situation for me. But if I'm in a meeting room and the camera is mounted above or below or on a corner somewhere, the experience for remote participants is going to be short of that kind of eye-to-eye meeting experience. They're going to feel like they're not quite being seen and heard, and they have presence in the room.
And it's really taking advantage of what used to happen in old video conference systems, um, with Tandbergs and even Polys, is where we used to mount the camera between the displays. And that was done for many years. And then it was kind of, the real estate kept shrinking in a conference space. So we've really tried to maximize that old method of doing things where we used to have a camera at eye level, and trying to minimize the amount of real estate that's being used. So number one, you get a much more flexible experience. And you now, instead of you trying to track where the camera is in a room, you're looking at the screens.
Yeah, and I think that's important to bring up, Adrian, is we know in most meetings, right, content is shared. Someone is going to whiteboard, they're going to collaborate, right? We're driving with our product line collaboration, right? It's important, it's going to be critical in these in-person meetings, these flexible spaces, right, moving forward. And that's something that, a center of table camera or cameras in different positions around the room, you're going to lose that when content is shared, when whiteboarding happens, right? When these things, get triggered, where are you going to look? You're going to look at the content, right? You're going to be focused on displays. You have most people focused and looking at displays for a majority of their meeting minutes. So when everything is front of room, it does create that better balance in that people versus content, because that's where the attention is going to be. So to have your cameras there, it really provides the best remote hybrid experience, blending what's happening in the room with people that are joining remotely, sharing the content. It's just a much, it increases that sense of equity, not just in collaboration, but that actual meeting where everyone, right, is focused and on the same thing.
With View Pro, it's so easy to drop that system into just about any size meeting room, whether it's medium or larger meeting rooms, of course. With that 5-camera system, that you really activate just about any space. Scott, you said short throw and long throw cameras. Right, so you got folks that are sitting at the end of a long table, right?
Yep.
They'll be captured in crisp resolution. Or if you have folks sitting, if it's like a wide U-shaped table, they're sitting kind of next to the camera, they'll also be captured in clarity, regardless of distance.
Yeah. And we've seen all the applications, in the corporate space and the true, traditional meeting room space. It's usually that long table or a U-shaped table. When we get into education, larger training rooms, right, where our cameras really provide that high quality coverage in that environment, you get more of a wider layout, right? The left to right, people are situated in the room differently. So to have a single system that can just cover all those aspects and use DTEN AI to process all that and send it back into the software, it's really been a game changer for a lot of our customers.
So let's jump into in-room meeting control. This is the new one that came out for us this year, and this is the Mate PoE. This we rolled out for Teams, right? So that was kind of a nice way to complete the room setup for Microsoft Teams Rooms users. So the Mate PoE running a single Ethernet cable for signal and power. This allows you to control users, control room settings, control camera settings, launch shared content sessions directly from the tabletop.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a really versatile line of these, smaller controller consoles. The Mate, it is PoE. You can fix it down into the dock. You can keep it locked in on Teams. It's a requirement to be wired. So we have that available in a PoE format. But what's really gaining a lot of attention is our wireless version. So our Mate wireless, it does have a battery. It's removable from that dock. And that's something that you can use in a Zoom Rooms environment on the Zoom Room controller app to walk around the room, control it. And it does give you a versatile, kind of wireless meeting space that a lot of customers are starting to deploy. But we know that in a touch room environment, getting up and walking to the screen isn't always ideal, especially just to control a meeting. So it just gives you that flexibility to add it and put it on the table and have those controls accessible from where you're sitting.
And the other nice thing with Zoom is Zoom's got what they call native controls. So you can write a JSON script and utilize things like external third-party control systems or even Zoom itself. And you can control certain elements in the room, including the D7X, windows, and anything else, lights, HVAC systems, blinds. So it gives you a lot of nice flexibility, and it being either wired or wireless in the Zoom environment kind of gives you a little more control over a space. And in a conference, there's hope that Microsoft will kind of bring some of those that functionality to the Teams environment. Right now, it's somewhat limited, but you still get all the flexibility and control of a standard Teams console controller with the PoE version of the Mate.
Awesome. Well, let's jump into the second part of the webinar this morning, and this is top 5 technology trends to look out for in 2024. So we've kind of talked about quite a few of them. Scott, I'm going to ask you to give me a little bit of your insights here on what we've been kind of referring to as the Zoom Rooms Peanut.
Yep. So this was, represented at Zoomtopia as kind of give customers a direction of the Zoom platform, right? Which is more than just a couple different products and features. It's really expanded into, entire ecosystem of supporting hybrid work and return to work. So where normally we lived, all the way here on the left side, where, a device can be deployed for rooms, driving a rooms license. It's really expanded over the last year to include quite a bit of this graphic. So workspace reservations you can deploy on DTEN devices. They can be maps in the lobby. They can be virtual receptionists. They can be hot desks. We're moving more into productivity in 2024. So being able to do more things with whiteboarding and AI, being able to get meeting summaries and notes, and being able to translate that into the future into Zoom docs, and really being able to live inside of this platform. And these device endpoints are going to be critical in tying everything together, from remote work, where you have access to these things at home, but that same UI, that same experience is available in the office, is going to kind of flatten that adoption curve and kind of boost your productivity. So these things will continue to become accessible in Zoom Rooms. You're going to be able to continue using your Zoom phone license in these devices to place calls. There's chat inside, of course, in meeting, but we're going to tie in even more things from webinars and contact center, and really be able to continue to be that single brand and manufacturer that can drive, a managed device layout across the entire Zoom product wheel. So it's exciting to stay tuned this year as more of these things get released and become available and start working with rooms. But the great thing about our products, we do have that BYOD, we have Smart Connect, so you can drive these experiences from your client on these devices today, right? So the Mi Pro is super powerful. It's what I'm on right now, where I'm using the camera, I'm using the microphone, the touchscreen, everything from my device, but I can drive a Zoom client experience and have access to those Zoom apps and be able to live more in the peanut. So all of these things are going to benefit the users across the board when you're on Zoom, everywhere from, mobile in a room to help you control, working from home, back into the office. We're really one of the brands leading this integration of all these different products into a single device endpoint.
Now, I will say this graphic is from the recent Zoomtopia conference. So that's kind of where a lot of these new innovations were rolled out and talked about there. So if you have any questions about any of these other things too that you saw that we've talked about just now, definitely check out some of the Zoomtopia recaps, and of course our Zoomtopia recap webinar where we really dig into this in much greater detail. So let's take a look at the first thing that certainly I'm looking forward to quite a bit, is Zoom Room's AI companion. This is something that was rolled out, I think, like a day or two before Zoomtopia. It's actually live now in your Zoom rooms. So if you have a D7X on the wall, any other D10 Zoom Rooms system, and you launch a whiteboard session, you have the ability to drop in some of these pre-filled tables. Right, you can just give it a little bit of logic information as to what sort of subject and content you're building around, and it'll pre-populate tables, sticky notes, all kinds of stuff. It's really a very cool tool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think our last, webinar around just AI in general, right? Thinking of it as assistant intelligence, right, is a good way to kind of think about what these AI tools are going to do for you right away. So right now it's that, save time, stay organized, get meeting summaries and notes, being able to turn those into a whiteboard so people can collaborate on that, track products and design. So that's really where we're at today. But these AI features, like you said, they're available. You can start to experiment with them now. But it is something that we're going to continue to see is that interaction between having that assistant, right, having that help to really save you time. And that's the main goal, I think, right now of how to capitalize on AI and what it can do for you. And on the Zoom side, this stuff is baked right in the price, right? So you get AI in that experience. It's all free. They're not charging extra for it. So a big thing on the AI companion is it is something that you can try now, and it's just going to continue to grow to be that tool to assist you throughout, your entire workday.
So the next thing that I think we should look out for more in 2024 is Zoom Rooms companion Zoom Rooms. So this is where you have your Zoom Rooms system, and then you can add a companion Zoom Rooms device in the room. So whether this is a D7X on the wall, maybe it's a D7X on a cart, or an onboard system, right? This gives you that extra piece of real estate to be your dedicated collaboration area. If it's a D7X companion Zoom Rooms, you also have another camera and microphone system there too, I believe you can activate.
Yeah, absolutely. So companion whiteboard has been around for a little bit, right? That's been one of the things that we've been talking about is when it comes to D10, you're not always in an environment to have to rip and replace, right? One thing we can do is help you on net new rooms, but we can also bring collaboration into existing rooms. So if you've invested in AV already, if you've invested in display, but you still want to bring collaboration in, you were able to bring our onboard into a room, right? Pair it in the cloud. So when someone shared content or a whiteboard, it would appear right on the companion device. So it wouldn't take away from the gallery view that you already had in the room. It would supplement your tech stack in that space. So that's been expanded even further to now take advantage of the camera that's included in that Zoom Room for Touch device. So if you have an existing room, you've already deployed AV, you do not have any touchscreen, you don't have access to whiteboarding, annotation, all those great tools. Now you can wheel an entire D7X into a space with the AV bar, and you're able to access that camera from Zoom Cloud. It's going to bring it in, so you can use that as you wish. An additional room camera, right? You can drive gallery from that. You're able to set up your view and what those cameras are doing. But it's just brought in more tech into that room to give you more of a production feel. So whether you're starting from scratch or you're interested in adding collaboration, it's just another element that helps you cover that room, provide better meeting equity, and especially adding collaboration equity and everyone being able to contribute to that content session or that whiteboarding session that's happening in the room.
Yeah, the only thing I want to add to this is that a little later on, we're going to invite you to try a D7X system. If there's something you've been looking to try, right? We make it super easy for you to get a completely free trial to you. We'll even work with we'll help you get set up with a Zoom Rooms account, right? So we have a cool program already in place for exactly that. But if you have a room in place, Scott mentioned that you don't want to do a rip and replace, you want to just kind of try something, this is a perfect way to do it. Add to that room, set up as a companion Zoom Rooms, give it a try, get a feel for what it's like to add that dedicated collaboration space in the room. It really will change the way that you have meetings in that space.
And you also do not need an additional license. So that's another, crazy aspect of this is you use the same license that's already native to that room. When you log into the companion device with those same credentials, it authenticates it in the cloud, and you're using that single device license to manage a companion as well. So there's no additional cost from any licensing aspect. But that's what allows these things to work as a companion, work in tandem, that it's a single license still in that room.
Yeah, that's really why I included it, I think, as number 2, as top 5 things, because it's so easy to deploy. And I think this is something that's really picking up traction, this idea of just adding a dedicated collaboration space, adding that second camera angle if it's a D7X. And I think that once folks get kind of a feeling of how much value this adds to a room with a single expenditure, it doesn't add any additional like monthly cost to your license. I see this picking up a lot more steam and traction in 2024.
I agree.
So let's move on to Intelligent Director, right? So we talked about this a little bit earlier in the webinar. Multiple cameras in a room, just like Zoom Room Smart Gallery, which you guys are probably a little bit familiar with at this point, something that we've been talking about a lot this year and last year. Intelligent Director is kind of that next evolutionary step, which activates multiple cameras in a room, which is perfect because I threw in a graphic there at the bottom of the D7X Dual 75 with View Pro system, right? We're talking about 3 or 5 cameras in that room that can be activated with Zoom Room's Intelligent Director. Works in the background to capture the best angle of folks that are in the room. Right, we're talking about better meeting equity for everybody who's in the room, better immersive meeting experiences for folks that are remote calling in. I think that this is technology that it's one of those things that once you turn it on and you use it in the room, you wonder how you ever had meetings without it before.
Yeah, especially with how much, processing and AI that DTEN is offering and Zoom is bringing to the table, right? It's really this high-end produced and directed experience, right, in the room. And I think that's what takes people by surprise, in just how seamless, right, all these things are happening when people are talking, and regardless of where they're sitting or how they're facing, they still have coverage. And this would have been either a manual person, right, having to produce a video environment like this in the past, or there hasn't really been anything that stacks up to its ability to process these multiple cameras and follow them around in the meeting. So, one thing we're doing is bringing our front of room all-in-one offering into the Intelligent Director space. So we'll have an exciting product coming up next year, our 75-inch with the View Pro, right? All 5 of these cameras working, being driven by a 12th generation i7 PC, and really bringing, this next level of meeting equity to our customers. So it's something we'll bring to market with Zoom in Q1, but it is exciting to have, an all-in-one version of Intelligent Director that we can help simplify the process, right? We can help our customers with deployment without a lot of resources, right, in placing multiple things and integrating this into rooms. This is going to be straight out of the box, right? All-in-one Intelligent Director. So really exciting, but it also brings, the highest video quality in that room size, right, into that environment. So I think it's going to be really exciting for us, and our customers have already started to experience, right, what this could be like with our dual, but to bring that down into a single touch environment, right, all in one Intelligent Director out of the box. So it's definitely a top 5 trend for me personally.
Cool. Keep an ear out for that coming next year. But that's pretty exciting announcement there. I was seeing a lot of engagement in Q&A. So keep the questions coming, guys. We definitely love to hear from you. I know we covered a lot already in this webinar, so you probably have some questions. Don't be shy. We're definitely here for you. So let's jump into Microsoft Teams. A very cool thing coming is their new Copilot AI companion. How will this play in Microsoft Teams rooms? You know, what's kind of the larger context for Microsoft Teams users?
Yeah, I think it's similar, right, to how we've been thinking about AI, which is that assistant, right? Right now, it's that intelligent layer that kind of lives over all of those Microsoft apps, and will bring, enhancing that workflow and being able to tie all these things together as an assistant, as your co-pilot, right, is really, where we're at. I think, with both platforms is bringing that organization, right? Keeping productive, things that you don't have to spend time on manual follow-up, typing to take notes, right? All these things that really consume attention and kind of reduce the ability to be interactive in these meetings. Even if you miss a meeting, right? You still get that follow-up sent to you of these are the things you missed. This is when you were mentioned in that meeting. Here's some follow-ups that were assigned to you. So for those people that are really, in that hybrid environment, stacking meetings, they're power meeting users. It's really going to help reduce the workload, the follow-up, right, for those type of folks. And I think the same thing around contributing to Microsoft Whiteboard and having that touch capability, that collaboration is going to be essential, right, in the following year of having those spaces available to your employees where they can stay productive and collaborate, right, across all of these projects.
Lastly, the thing I want to bring up is, it's kind of like we've been seeing Microsoft Teams rooms. Obviously, Zoom rooms was a little bit earlier to the party. And so in a lot of the ways, Microsoft Teams rooms is coming out with their versions of a lot of the innovations now that we see a lot in Zoom rooms. And of course, we talked about Intelligent Director. Microsoft is coming out with their new IntelliFrame technology, which is super cool, a lot like Smart Gallery. So it's that AI-driven meeting experience, right? Pushing more equitable meeting experiences for folks that are in the room, more immersive experiences for folks that are remote. But it's just for Microsoft Teams rooms. I think that this is going to be huge for a lot of folks. Scott, is this available today? Do you know when this is coming?
Adrian might be able to get more specific. What we're currently doing, which is the same as we started on the Zoom side, is we offload a lot of the video and what's happening to the cameras up front, and DTEN AI is helping with that processing, sending these platforms the streams that they need to really populate some of these galleries and whatnot. So we're positioned on our own to be able to deliver, right, these features and these experiences, but feeding them into rooms or into Teams rooms, right, to be able to maximize in there is stuff that we obviously are waiting for them to become available and compatible with. Currently in our offering, I think our camera technology is great, even in the Androids that exist today, where you do have that composite view. So we're already providing a gallery environment on the product offering today. You can have multiple frames, people get their own. The EPTZ is working to keep everyone right framed. So as the timeline for this feature on Android becomes more clear, right, we're definitely in a position to release that on day one. But it is something we have to follow the team's roadmap and wait for that application to release the features.
Yeah, it's interesting. So when Microsoft, they call this IntelliFrame is kind of sort of part of this whole intelligent camera initiative within Microsoft to really kind of maximize. And a lot of these features that Microsoft brings forth, you'll see them in a Windows environment first before they get extended to an Android environment. And that's just kind of how Microsoft is. They're Windows first. So you're probably going to see this start showing up, probably January next year. depending on where you sit in the rings, in terms of the overall release between Windows and Android. There will always be features that will exist in Teams for Windows and that will live in the Windows world that will never see the light of day on Android. And then there are some features that it'll be sort of a delayed release with the Android ecosystem. Um, so it's kind of what we're, with Microsoft. And when we talk about Microsoft, besides this IntelliFrame, they're really focusing on a lot of the AI tools in Copilot and seeing how Copilot will function inside a Teams room. Even though it's kind of been discussed in the periphery, it really hasn't been seen yet in a practical sense in a production-based environment. So it will be really interesting to see how Copilot comes to an endpoint. And the same with Zoom's AI companion, how that comes to an endpoint, whether that be an Android or Windows-based solution, and really how those environments are going to be able to maximize those tools to give better conference experiences, better end user results to end users who sit on their desktops, that are remote participants, and then being able to create things like after action reports. Hey, this is what was discussed in the meeting. Here's all the take back and the feedback. Now everybody who's involved in that now actually says, hey, I've got information. I don't have to take my notes anymore. So there's going to be some really tangible, powerful things that we see start to matriculate down to the endpoints that are going to be desktop solutions first, and then you'll see them in the endpoint realm.
There you go. Thank you, Adrian. Really appreciate that insight. So we'll kind of jump back and forth between Copilot and IntelliFrame, right? So definitely a technology to look out for in 2024 because a lot kind of remains to be seen. Randy, thank you so much for posting in Q&A some of the time frame that's posted from Teams. I think as Scott mentioned, right? So the way it works is Teams will make a technology available, and then technology partners like us, we work to make sure that it's going to function right from our end and also from their end. So when it goes through like the Android operating system on the D7X, right, that timeline might be a little bit later on as we make sure that that technology functions correctly. So with the time that we have left, one thing I want to jump into is a very cool new thing coming from DTEN. And we talked about this briefly last month. And so much has been happening behind the scenes now with this new system. You'll see this next month. That we're going to be making a ton of noise about this. Certainly, everybody's going to be talking about it on the partner reseller side. I'm sure your DTEN reseller is going to want to talk about this with you. And this is our new bar system. So we're calling it our small room solution. So our initial rollout is a bundled kit that is perfectly designed for your smaller meeting rooms. We're talking up to 4.5 meter by 4.5 meter, 15 by 15 foot, or 20 by 20 foot meeting rooms. Super cool system. The new D10 bar is the center point of this entire setup, paired with the D10 Mate, whether it's the Wi-Fi or the PoE, and we throw in a BYOD cable there as well. So Scott, tell us a little bit more about the bar and about the small room solution.
Yeah, a lot of people excited about the bar, right? And in D10 fashion, right? It is unique. We're bringing unique features to our system to help fill in those gaps, which has been a huge ask, right, from our customers over the last couple of years. Is hey, we want to manage, all of these devices remotely. We want a single pane of glass to manage all of our rooms. We might not have collaboration in these spaces, right? We need to deploy a lot of meeting only type of spaces. And, we listened to the customers. We designed a product that is based off of our D7X, right? Our third generation Android design. So the same type of hardware design that we use to build up our 55 and 75-inch boards. All that processing, everything is packed into this bar, which makes it super convenient for our customers to deploy all sorts of different room types and be able to manage them all remotely through Orbit. So a huge customer ask that we're bringing to market, but that same high quality camera, that you're going to get from, our award-winning board is packed into here with the different AI on video, the AI processing all those microphones, forward-facing speakers, and a lot of customers reacting because of how versatile, right, this device is, being able to mount it horizontally, being able to mount it vertically, and produce different room designs with dual screen, and being able to expand on this with View Pro cameras. So it really is a start of really meeting that customer ask of these rooms where AV, they need to enable that room for AV in a true meeting environment. Once again, we have our Mate Wi-Fi. So on the Zoom room side, it's a really unique experience of being able to have that wireless controller as well in a room where you normally wouldn't see that on a fixed tablet. So it's bringing that unique, modern opportunity, right, to outfit net new rooms, to video enable all these spaces, deploy everything at a very reasonable cost, and manage it all right through a single pane of glass. So I really think it's that last piece of the puzzle to complete our portfolio for that complete right solution from home back into the office.
Yeah, it's a really exciting product. I mean, the fact that you can actually change the orientation, you can mount this above a display, below a display, between two displays. There's no product on the market right now that allows you to do an orientation like that, to make a dual with a camera mounted between the two at a relatively inexpensive price. Small conference rooms at first, then we'll expand to medium and large conference rooms. And there's really a kit-based solution. Everything you need is in the box. You'll get a Mate. You get a Mate as a Wi-Fi version or a PoE version, depending on your network, which gives you a lot of flexibility. It is a great sounding product. It's a visually striking product. In the demos that and the tests that we've done, we are excited about it. A lot of our feedback we've had with some of our closed previews, customers are very excited about it. So when this is released, it's definitely going to be an interesting product. It's on the market. There's nothing like it for a while.
Yeah, we're kind of blowing the lid off this thing a little early. So when your favorite reseller next month starts calling you about this solution, you have to at least act surprised. Don't tell them that we blew the surprise for you.
Well, and it's also a good time to plug our January webinar, which is, all about the bar. So we'll be launching this January 11th, I believe, Jackson. So we'll have a live webinar where you'll be able, to see a demo of the device in action. We'll have single screen, dual screen, right? Everything you can expect from that bar. So that's an exciting thing to look out for that email, register for January and be able to see, live in person as we demo the bar and all the great things for you.
So cool. And so much more too to come out with. I mean, we're just barely scratching the surface of what this bar can do. I don't want to say that it's compatible with some of our new solutions that we talked about earlier in this webinar. But definitely some very cool extensibility options have been baked right into this product. So super cool. Everyone's super surprised. Internally with a lot of our beta testers, the reactions have just been totally stellar. So keep an eye out for more information on that one. And I teased it a little bit earlier in the webinar. I think now I'd like to invite everybody to take D7X for a test drive in your space. So 2 different URLs there at the bottom left. You've got one for Microsoft Teams, if that's your preferred system of choice, or Zoom rooms. So 2 different links there. It'll take you to a little form. We just need to know a little bit about you, who you are, what you do. I think that's about it. And then we'll follow up and make sure that this is a good fit for you, and then we'll get one in the mail for you.
And I think what's great about this program, why so many customers, right, give it such great feedback, is it's not about the device. It's not about try this device. It's about the use case, right? What are you trying to accomplish in your deployment? What your needs are for your organization. So we ask you things around hot desking and meeting room. It's really around what are you trying to solve And what's great about these two programs, and the reason they're separate, is because we work alongside, right, Zoom or Teams to provide that POC, that test drive experience where the software, the hardware is all working together. And we really want you to have that, that unique customer experience for yourself, because if you do not deploy touch, if you're not in a collaboration environment, just adding these pieces into that mix, supplementing, letting people get their hands on them is really, a big momentum shift in the adoption and how customers are thinking about deploying use cases and technology. And so it's a really highly successful program. You've heard me for 4 years say, Jackson, it's a Zoom Rooms for touch. It's a Teams for touch device. You got to touch it. You got to get your hands on it. So as many videos and slides as we can show you, having this thing in real life is definitely going to change, your opinion on the technology and the features that you want to bring to your organization.
So I'll be following up after the webinar personally with each and every one of you guys. So I'll have some links that you can download for sharing internally. I'll have some more information about these programs. And then, of course, if there's any remaining questions you guys have, this is a great time. You can just answer me and I'll get you in touch with the right person there, whether it's Mr. Adrian with an infinite fountain of knowledge, Mr. Scott with all the connections, or anybody else on our team that can certainly get you the answers that you're looking for. So with that, I want to say thank you. I'm remiss for not making this more of a holiday themed slide, because I know that probably most of us are mostly in holiday mood already. I know I'm certainly getting there. So thank you, everybody. Happy holidays. I hope you have a fantastic New Year's Eve, Christmas, if that's what you're celebrating, whatever your holiday of choice might be for you. Happy holidays, and thank you, guys.
Thanks all.
Bye.
All right, Adrian, thank you. Scott, thank you. Chris, in the background, thank you so much. You guys, happy holidays. See you soon. See you next year. Bye.